Hello everyone, how are we? Hopefully all of you are having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world. Welcome back to yet another video on the channel. How are we, chat? Hopefully everyone's good. Hopefully everyone's ready for Christmas as well, and hopefully everyone's had a good weekend so far. Obviously the Reds beating Tottenham. If you guys didn't check out the match reaction, obviously please go and do so. But we are here to discuss and talk about Alexander Isak and of course the whole injury situation, which it doesn't look good, does it? According to the reports that's come out today. Of course, we'll discuss and get your guys' thoughts on it, and hopefully, we'll know a bit more from looking at everything and looking at all the details anyway. But how are we, chat? Hopefully everyone's good as well. Again, apologies, haven't been live or haven't been streaming as much as well. Obviously, Christmas has been very, very busy this year. And yeah, hopefully everyone's good apart from that. But big up Hero as well, hopefully doing well. Hopefully everyone's good. But like we said, let's talk and just dive straight into the Alexander Isak news, because it is the big talking point right now, isn't it? In terms of Liverpool news and in terms of like how long will Alexander Isak be out for Liverpool, which I think we're not talking a couple of weeks. I think we are talking months when it does come to Alexander Isak. I don't think it's something that's a light injury. Everyone's fearing the worst, as David Ornstein has said, as you guys can see it on screen. Of course, this was his tweet earlier on, as you guys can see it quite clearly. It says that Liverpool fear that Alexander Isak suffered significant injury in the challenge while scoring in Saturday's victory against Tottenham Hotspur. Liverpool are concerned relates to the 26-year-old striker lower left leg and intend to confirm once MRI scan results arrive, which should possibly be tomorrow, which hopefully we can then know the full damage then realistically, and even reading a bit into the article from David Ornstein, because again, obviously this is just the main headline is what he's come out and said, but what he has also said in terms of the actual article piece is this, that, and I'm going to read it word for word, as of course I can't show you guys because it is on a paid service, and again you can't really show that, to be fair, but it does say that Liverpool fear that striker Alexander Isak suffered a significant leg injury in the Saturday's 2-1 win over Tottenham. Isak, half-time replacement for Conor Bradley, who was also injured in the act of the opening of the scoring on the 56th minute with a smart finish from Florian Wirtz's pass. After striking the ball, he was brought down awkwardly by a sliding tackle from Spurs defender Mickey van der Ven and was unable to celebrate with his teammate. Isak, 26, received treatment and was helped off the pitch by two members of the Liverpool medical staff, with Jeremy Frimpong replacing him. It does go on to say the Swedish international has yet to undergo an MRI scan, which will reveal a full extent of the injury, but Liverpool are concerned at the extent of the damage caused by the forward's lower legs. So it's not ACL that was first reported and being thought upon, because again, I think everybody thought that it was an ACL injury, or it was at least maybe something with his knee, but it does look like a lower leg injury compared to the knee, which is sort of good, but then also taking into consideration, I think you already looked so far this season. Look at Giovanni Leone, who again is now out with an ACL injury. You look at Alexander Isak. If it was an ACL, we're looking end of the season. We'll see him next year. In that aspect of things, now it looks like a potential, worst case scenario. I think we're talking 6 months, but good scenario, we're talking possibly 2 or 3. And I think that's where, if it is longer, if it is long term, if it is, we are talking like 6-7 months, again, that's not so good. But we hope, best case scenario, it is only maybe 2 months Alexander Isak will be out for, compared to, the longer range of that anyway. But it does go on to say, Isak being absent for a lengthy spell would be a huge blow to Liverpool, blah, blah, blah. And then it does also go on to say that, of course, speaking to teammates, and they original teammates thought they wasn't so bad. Again, I think the Athletic are quoting Florian Wirtz and Allison there when they speak here. I haven't spoken to him about it yet, but it's a good thing he scored. Of course, first getting a goal assist. Slot said he spoke to the player but nothing to report in terms of injury news. So, as far as we know, Liverpool are scared about it. And of course, everyone will straight away go, well, what does that mean for Liverpool now? What does it mean in terms of Liverpool moving forward? Do Liverpool act now in January to try and bring somebody in that, Liverpool maybe thought about in the summer? There's all question marks around that. I think, like I said, I think the expectation is it's going to be a long one. And I think it's, like I said, worst case scenario, 5-6 months, probably even a bit longer. Best case scenario, I think we are talking 1 or 2 months. I think we are best case scenario, maybe 2 or 3. Worst case is 6 months plus. Then let's just say that. And I think right now, the way Liverpool's forwards are at the minute, again, if I say if, well, obviously when we do find out what has happened with Alexander Isak, that only leaves obviously Hugo Ekitike, Federico Chiesa at the minute, and Rio Nkamoa as Liverpool's only fit forwards. And I know people will sort of straight away go, oh, you could add Florian Wirtz to that. But I think everybody really wants to see Florian Wirtz play centrally. And instead of that, we're going to see him possibly playing now more on the left because we don't have anybody there. Or we do finally see now this system completely changing when potentially Cody Gakpo comes back, and we again see maybe Cody and Hugo up top and then Wirtz behind. But it's a bit of a horrible situation, isn't it, for Liverpool? Let's not lie around it either. But we spent a lot of dollars on players who probably won't see a lot of game time at a decent level, possibly. One of them being freaking Alexander Isak at the moment. But again, that's not his fault at all, is it? Because again, it was a great finish. It was finally Florian Wirtz gets an assist, Alexander Isak gets another goal for Liverpool in the league, and then the injury happens, and you're like, crap. But no, the good news, no knee injury. It is a leg injury, which is the better of the two, but it's still not great by, I think, the concerns that are coming out from the club as well. But big up Gary, as well as Intellia Albin. One has always said Hugo Ekitike is the main 9. Isak will come good next season as well. I think he'd become good this season. I think, look, it's not a surprise, is it, that you give Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, and Alexander Isak a chance to start with each other, and Liverpool score goals. It's not like if Liverpool, we've not done that so far this season, where you look at certain games, you look at, for example, Frankfurt, Liverpool look better, Liverpool look a lot more comfortable, them two both start, and all three start, and Liverpool have a very, very good game. You also look at West Ham when, again, Isak was on the pitch, Wirtz was behind him. Again, both had really good games in that aspect of things. And even, yesterday, Liverpool were flat against Spurs. We were terrible for a big period of the game. And then them two brought together, and instantly Liverpool get better. And that's the thing. Arne Slot needs to find a way of getting them both into the system, or getting them at least significant game time. Because look at Isak now. Isak's out now for a couple of months. We've got to be careful around Hugo Ekitike as well, because if he was to get injured, Liverpool don't have a striker. And I know people can, even I can say, okay, we're going to play Cody Gakpo, for example, at striker. It's not necessarily going to work because, again, we've seen under Jurgen Klopp how we used Cody Gakpo as a striker. We've seen under Arne Slot, we've never really used him as a striker. And when we have used him as a striker, he's inverted with Luis Diaz and interchange in those positions. So with that being said, again, I don't see Cody Gakpo being a striker at Liverpool. I see him being what he's currently been at the minute, a touchline winger trying to cut inside and score or assist for Liverpool. But again, in terms of how we might change, again, that might be a thing to change with the squad anyway. But 2-goal Isak as well. Yeah, well, he's got 3 goals for Liverpool in all competitions, or 4 goals. Again, I'm not too sure. I can't remember how many goals Alexander Isak has scored for Liverpool so far this season, but especially 2 in the league. Obviously, 1 against West Ham and 1 yesterday against Spurs. And to be fair, he always does score against Spurs as well. So, with that being said, you hope that he could possibly do a bit better. But again, obviously given the opportunity to, of course, he'll hopefully do that as well. But apart from any other news surrounding Isak, of course, I know Ben Jacobs brought out a piece as well, speaking about it and how Liverpool are worried about it, but behind the scenes. But until we again get the definition of it, then again we're not going to realistically see any change in terms of Liverpool's approach. Even Paul Joyce as well. If I quickly move that, I can get that up as well. But I think even Paul Joyce's words were very reserved, if that makes sense. Chat. I think very much so. Liverpool again don't want to put their eggs in the basket already, but again they're prepared for the worst case scenario, because again even Paul Joyce's words, Liverpool increasingly concerned by significant Isak injury. It does go on to say Liverpool fear Alexander Isak has suffered a significant injury to his lower leg, aimed growing concerns that he will face a lengthy period on the sidelines. The Anfield club is waiting for the results of the MRI scan on the 125 million British record signing of his lower left leg before confirming an extent diagnosis, but the mood is gloomy. He does go on to say that Isak 26 was injured by a challenge by Mickey van der Ven while in the process of scoring his second Premier League goal for Liverpool. It does go on to say that the striker's leg becomes sandwiched in between Van der Ven's own legs as the defender made a desperate lunge in an attempt to prevent a goal. There has been some surprise among Liverpool staff that the challenge went without caution in the game in which referee John Brooks showed a red card to Tottenham Xavi Simons and Christian Romero. Isak was in considerable pain and required lengthy treatment from Chris Morgan, the head of performance physio, and a director medical in Jonathan Powers. He was helped off the pitch but remained in obvious discomfort as well. I believe he went straight down the tunnel as well. He didn't stick around on the bench either, which is a bad sign, really. But again, that's just Paul Joyce's words. I'm just quickly seeing if he's said anything else in regards to that. What was that, the latest update? Yeah, no, that is the latest update in terms of Paul Joyce. But look, I think that the big thing is as well is the fact that Liverpool was so quick around it as well, because again, the way Isak was walking off as well is normally a good sign, because I think people will say, oh, well, why didn't he get stretchered off? I think that's the big one as well, where if he got stretchered off, I think that's immediate, red sign for, the injury in itself. But the fact he walked off is a promising sign. But like I said, I think possibly tomorrow morning we'll find out the news around Isak's injury and what does that mean, really, anyway. But Slot will not last the rest of the season, says Gary as well. I don't know. I'm a bit two-sided on that, really. I think Slot. I said weeks ago, and it will be on a video somewhere. He had until the Spurs game, away from home. For me, For me, I think he's going to stay at Liverpool for the rest of the season. I think Liverpool might reevaluate everything in the summer, but as of right now, Arne Slot's the Liverpool manager until the summer window, in my opinion, at least. Anyway, but Connor, one doesn't think Isak has been fit this whole time. Yeah, and that's the big one, isn't it, Gary? A lot of people are probably a bit frustrated around how Alexander Isak had come to Liverpool, really, because again, he wasn't fit. Of course, he didn't take part in any pre-season for Newcastle, which I think a lot of Newcastle fans were frustrated with him, obviously for not being part of the team. Obviously, I think everybody knew that he wanted the transfer to Liverpool, and he wanted, to get his dream move away from Newcastle. But I think there was a lot around there that, again, maybe he could have just done pre-season, because he's, come to Liverpool and he has struggled, with the, not with the physicality or anything, because again, he was already a Premier League player, but in terms of the pace set, I don't think he's really settled in yet. And yeah, it's been an up and down road at the minute so far, isn't it? And again, this is the annoying part about it, because you'd think with him scoring now, and with, now Mo Salah not being in Liverpool's team at the minute, of course, with him being at AFCON, you'd think, okay, maybe we might do the whole setup with the two strikers and allow them to flourish now, and with Florian Wirtz behind them as well. I think that was the plan, but of course, plans change in football, and I think now, you have to be so careful now, because, like I said, if Ekitike got injured as well, Liverpool are in serious trouble, and I mean really, really in trouble. As well, but they will stick with him. It's a long-term project. Yeah, 100% is. Like, no, of course, Alexander Isak will become good for Liverpool. It's just a bit annoying at the minute, isn't it? Conor Nunes has more goals than Isak at the same point. Yeah, but I think you have to take it into context. Like, Darwin Nunes was here for for 3+ years already. And look, for me, I've always said, I've said this since the start of the season, letting Luis Diaz go was Liverpool's biggest mistake in the summer transfer window. We never replaced Lucho, and that's the biggest problem, because look, Lucho right now, if we had him, could fit in at striker. He did it last season for Liverpool. He was Liverpool centre forward for a big period of the season, and we could have done that. We could have had Lucho, Cody on the left, Mo on the right. Even if we brought in Ekitike, you could have had the new system with with Lucho and Hugo up top as well. That would have been exciting. But look, at the end of the day, I'm confident Alexander Isak will become brilliant for Liverpool, but he just needs game time. He needs minutes, and then of course now with the injury, he's not going to get that, unfortunately. But I said, can't win it all the time. So long as the season gets used to bed some of the new players, it's not all wasted. True, I would say that. The only thing I would say, Liverpool have got to get Champions League. Like, at the end of the day, Liverpool could still win a European Cup this season. The way we've played this season, like, it's laughable me saying that. But Liverpool could easily still get a Champions League, because, again, the Champions League can be mental. Like, look at us in 2005. We should never have won that Champions League. We go on to do it. Chelsea, when they beat Manchester City, they weren't great, but in the Champions League, they were amazing. They beat Real Madrid. They deserve to win the Champions League that year. And that's the thing. Liverpool have the opportunity that, all right, in the league, we're not performing well and we're not doing great at the minute. Of course, we're 5th in the league. Other results have gone our way, in terms of beating Sunderland at home and, beating and keeping the lead against Leeds. Liverpool would be 5 points off top at the minute. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, in my opinion, Liverpool could easily go on and win the Champions League. But again, you need everyone fit for it, realistically anyway. But for me personally, if Liverpool got the Champions League and did decent enough in competitions, then that's okay, obviously with context around it. But realistically, the aim at the start of the season was to retain the Premier League title, and we've not done that, so it's a failure in that aspect of things. But considering the few things that have happened, if Liverpool got Champions League football, and was decent in other stuff, then who knows what we'd rate the season anyway. But Merry Christmas, by the way, Reds fans. Well, haven't haven't been the most exciting time this season, but I think the best is yet to come. Hopefully, hopefully indeed. Hopefully, it's Liverpool getting, like I said, a European Cup at the end of the season. But guy says, do you think Isak has been a flop this far? For what we expected, possibly. But again, it's hard to define it, isn't it? Because, like I said, he's not been he's not been terrible. He's just lacked minutes and lacked time. Like the only frustrating game I've been really frustrated with Isak was Man United at home, where he had the one chance, and that's the kind of difference where he has one chance and didn't take it. And all right, that's not to. I'm not trying to get on his back. I'm not trying to turn around and say that he should do what, for example, like Alexander Isak did. Isak had one chance against Spurs, took it. One chance against Brighton, took it. That's what Isak needs to be for us, in my opinion. But look, I think he's more. We've not seen Newcastle Isak yet. No, I would agree with that. But I think he, of course, he is a player that can get better. But Isak has been a terrible signing so far, in my opinion. He's not fit now. Could be the injury on top of that as well. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? But Liverpool, with him being out now for so long, Liverpool could ramp up. But again, it depends on the severity of the injury. Because if there's like a say it is 2 months that he's out for Liverpool. Liverpool could do a 2-month program with him where, again, they rebuild him, but also they're doing like a preseason thing with him where, again, they can kind of keep him up to speed. But the problem is the injury type of thing. Yeah, again, where you look at it and you go, yeah, it's a terrible situation to be in at the present moment in time. But that's a hill to climb as well. Yeah, 100% agree on that hero. But look, hopefully we'll have some news tomorrow around Alexander Isak. I'm hoping that it's good news, or at least hoping it's the best case scenario from a worst possible position. But judging from the wording from Ornstein, from Joyce, from a lot of people, I think it's going to be a while before we do see Alexander Isak in a Liverpool kit again, unfortunately. But let's just hope and pray and touch wood that he can come back better than what we've seen him so far in a Liverpool shirt, at least anyway. But speaking of top performances, like if anybody's seen the Morgan Rogers performance against United, that was a banging performance from him as well. But will Isak catch Ekitike's goal scoring form this season? Probably not, depending on the injury. But the thing is that, like, we've always said, we've all said, haven't we, like how Ekitike, back in like March and April time, we said like how he could become another Alexander Isak in terms of, again, the numbers were very similar. Liverpool, looking at him, looking at other people in particular as well around obviously the market, in terms of Ozyman and Gyökeres and so on. I think Hugo Ekitike, like we put the shows up earlier, I think he could be a superstar for Liverpool. I also think Alexander Isak could become a superstar for Liverpool. And that's where, we've kind of tried to, build the next Liverpool team. When we've got Ekitike, Isak, Vert, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Jones, like it's the next Liverpool then. It's not the Liverpool of 2-3 years ago. It's it's the new version of us. And so far it's over the recent games it's going decent enough because Liverpool are unbeaten, but performance wise it's still not 100%, because like we said, that Spurs last 10 minutes yesterday was horrendous to watch. It was horrific. And we were quite lucky we didn't draw that game, because if Spurs somehow got something from that game, we're probably today not necessarily talking about Alexander Isak. We're most likely talking about Arne Slot's future again, because of how poor that is. The fact that we nearly drew to 9-men Spurs, and it's not really been highlighted either. By the way, it's not been talked about as much. But if it happened, we definitely would be talking about it today. So yeah, hopefully that's answered the question anyway. But look, I think we are going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in. Big thanks to Hero and obviously Gary as well. Short stream, but I wanted to talk about Isak. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it as well because look, I think as of right now, hopefully it's not going to be so bad as well. But a big up Ozan as well, saying so Khan to no ACL. Yeah, it's not ACL. It's not knee. It's not knee injury. It's not knee. It's lower leg. So we're talking maybe ligament damage. We're talking maybe a you know a bad low a bad could be ankle, foot. You don't know. There was talks of a broken ankle, which I think if it was broken ankle, he wouldn't have been able to walk off the pitch. So, but again, no ACL is huge, in terms of being good news. But also, I think, like I said earlier, for people just tuning in, I think best case scenario with Isak, we're talking 2 months. Worst case scenario, I think we're possibly talking 6+ months, 7 months, I think, around worst case scenario, around it, because again, the wording around Liverpool has been, with Joyce and Ornstein and James Pierce as well, the wording's been very careful. So I think, in my honest opinion, I think it's bad, and that's just my opinion. I think it's really bad. But I kind of got a Jota tribute T-shirt for you. Can you DM me an address and I'll send it? I can do. You'd have to DM me on Twitter, and I will try and sort things out. But you don't have to, Hero, as well. But Hugo is the fittest player. There are very different strokes. To be fair, the fittest player in Liverpool's squad is Dominic Szoboszlai. Like Dom this season is unreal. I'm gutted for him, the fact that Liverpool are so poor at the minute, because any other time for Liverpool, Dom would be up there as well. But again, it's just a shame we're crap this season. Avoiding an ACL is huge. Yeah, I think that was the main concern, though, wasn't it? First of all, but yeah, again, it's not great either way, is it? Let's be honest, Ozan. It's it's a bad situation all around. Anyway, but evening, Bri, as well. Hope you're doing well, mate. I haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully you're doing well. But yeah, obviously Christmas is what, 4 days away, 5 days away. No, it's not even that. What is the date today? It's the 21st. Yeah, it's the 21st. So, hang on a minute. Oh, I say that. Hang on a minute. Before we do go, we have a bit of breaking news. Hang on a minute. Luckily, I left on my phone then. Hang on a minute. Where is he? David Ornstein. Don't go anywhere, chat, because we do have something. So, it's not good news for Liverpool. Hang on a minute, chat. David Ornstein. So, it's worst case scenario. Like we mentioned. Hang on a minute. Where is he? There we go. So, Alexander Isak set for a period on sideline with suspected leg break from the challenge in the Liverpool's win against Spurs. Liverpool are yet to comment on severity, but scans pose to confirm fears of a fracture to left side. Recovery time typically a few months. So, yeah, we talked about it being the worst case scenario. Let me double check how long that would be for Liverpool. So what is it? A fractured leg. Fractured leg. Yeah, again, depends on the severity. So we could be looking 12 weeks, or even, like we said, a couple of months for Liverpool as well. But that is not good news. That's the news we didn't want, chat, from Alexander Isak and him being injured as well. But brilliant, isn't it? As soon as we were going to end the stream, David Ornstein comes out with an article. But I hope he comes back stronger. Shifty goal to remember as well. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, of course, as soon as we're about to end as well, that's what comes out around Alexander Isak and that anyway. But yeah, that's big news in regards to Alexander Isak. Fractured leg. Again, best case scenario, 12 weeks. Worst case scenario, even longer. And that's huge news for Liverpool. And probably now Liverpool act upon it in January. And who we get is another question in itself, because as of right now, Liverpool could easily go on and get a winger, could even try and get another striker at the club. But I think at the minute, yeah, it's not good luck, is it? Let's be honest anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your nights anyway. We'll be back tomorrow with another show as well. Ravi says he will probably be back March time as well. Yeah, that's most likely the case as well. So we won't see his best this season, maybe. I think that's the realistic way around it now, isn't it? We're possibly looking now next season with Alexander Isak, because again, you have to be careful with fractures. Fractures are possibly even worse than breaks in some case. So yeah, we have to wait and see what happens with Alexander Isak anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your days anyway. Hopefully I'll see you guys around tomorrow for another episode on the channel. Any other news will break for you guys, of course, anyway. But until next time, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the Cop Council. We'll see you guys in a bit. Ta-ra.